and he's really funny, and he's doing stand-up comedy for the first time in his life. We love this guy. You're gonna love him too. Paul Miklean, come on over here. Paul, here he comes. Mister, I love him here.
So I joined and became part of a super senior softball team. So these guys are so old, they gave me a nickname. And they called me the Kid. So one of the guys was on, got up to bat. Well, he's got a walker. So he gets to bat, and he hits the ball, and we sent in a pinch runner on a scooter. So we are, getting older, and we're getting forgetful. So when we hit the ball, and we run to first, there's a sign there, and it says, "Turn left." So we got a guy on second. He's got an artificial leg. So what he decides to do is to take off his artificial leg, leave it on second base, and hop away so he can take a very big lead. So two of the guys got into a big fist fight. And we thought one of the guys was going to win, but he lost. Because his tank ran out of oxygen. So let me tell you a little bit about our team. We have uniforms. And in the back of the uniforms, we have our sponsor, Metamucil. Of course, we have a name. With the Belmore bedpans. And we're so proud of our team that last week we finally beat the Deer Park Dentures. We have a slogan. What's our slogan? We get the runs. So I live in a house that has an upstairs and a downstairs. So I walk upstairs and I say to myself, what am I doing up here? So I decide to go back downstairs to see if I can figure it out. And lo and behold, I figure out. It's like I figured out what it was. So I go back upstairs and the same exact thing happens. So this went on for 35 minutes. I got upset with myself. I said, "This is like terrible." Until I finally realized what I was doing. I was getting my steps in. So I was riding my bike in my village where I live, and out of nowhere, this chipmunk runs in front of me. So I hit the chipmunk, it went flying. A week later, I get a letter from the town. And it's with a summons. And it says, "We have a video of you, and you have to appear in front of the town council." Well, I have to defend myself, so I go in, and I appear. And I realize when I get there, that I have no chance. And that's because the three town council people were Alvin, Simon, and Theodore. So I'm on the phone with tech support, and they're asking me all these questions. It was something I was having a problem with my computer and the internet. So they started asking me questions about my modem and my router. What kind of router do you have? What kind of modem do you have? You know, really, honestly, I don't know what these things do. So finally he says, okay, what version of Windows do you have? I said, at least I can answer that question. I have Renewal by Anderson. So I live in a historic neighborhood, and many of the houses, most of the houses there, were built in the 1700s. So every year we have a block party, and what happens is that we do the traditional games, and what we do is pin the tail on the redcoats, and then of course is burn the witches. But I leave before tar and feathering. I'm not going to fall for that one again. In the neighborhood, we have two visitors that come quite often. They're two ducks, and they've been adopted by our neighborhood. And we actually named them Mr. and Mrs. Duck. So what happened is that it turns out that Mr. Duck was not too bright because he kept sunning himself on the road. And then one day, a truck comes by, and that's the end of his story. And we felt very bad for Mrs. Duck. And she just disappeared. Except that 3 days later, she came back with another Mr. Duck. And then my neighbor said to me, how did she do that? I haven't had a date in 4 years. So thank you very much.
Come on, give him a hand. Paul Miklean. Paul Miklean. That was great. I'm going to tell him, Paul, he has stage experience, and you know what he does? He's in a musical group, a barbershop quartet. Isn't that cool? Are some of the other members of the, oh, you guys are off key. No, that's great. What's the name? What's the name of the barbershop quartet?
Algorithm.
The Algorithm. So anyway, how do you like the stand-up comedy? You can work that in between your songs. Barbershop Quartet.